Alright. Figured I'd make this a video since I decided against taking 50 million screenshots to explain this thing. Yep, so this is the mob farm. It is 10 layers, and each layer as I was saying, so this is the inside. Each layer is consisting of sorry. My word. Sorry about that. Consists of 2 walls fully lined with thermic relocators, as well as some in the middle to push everything inwards. It has an outer layer, vector glass. This is so that spiders don't spawn on this corner and phase through it. And you have a 2 wide thing of cursed earth, and then another ring of glass, and another thing of cursed earth, and another ring. You could probably cut this one out. You like it apparently. Honestly, I've never tested it without this. I doubt it needs it, to be honest. But this could just be completely cursed earth, and you'd have no issues. Get better rates that way anyway. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, I should probably on my actual server come and change this out. Oh yeah, this farm is server friendly as well. And then every layer, you have a diamond spike with a relocator to push things off of it. This is the spider prevention system. Spiders will climb up this and end up there, but they will bounce around up there, and it was getting issues, so I needed to thin them out before they even got up there to begin with. So I just put spikes every once in a while. This player doesn't have one apparently. Not that big of a deal. They can probably be. I have one every layer. It should probably be every other layer. So I'll cut the spike amount in half would be ideal. But whatever. That gonna change that now. No, it's not. I can just go and save spikes. I have no use for the spikes though. Might as well though. And just a ring of spikes up here to catch any of the thing that goes up there. Originally, I toyed around with the idea of having thermic relocators up there to pull mobs up to it to get the spiders there faster, but it just pulled other mobs there, and it was kind of a hassle. Then this bottom layer is the same system, but again, it's all just, there's no specter glass on this one. There is a system here to kill spiders and slimes and anything else that might back up right here. And then right on into here, there is 3 absorption hoppers going into 3 super tanks to hold the XP. They output into 3 faces of huge brass iron pipes, which I should probably change out soon. But oh well. Mobs will get stuck on here, so these blow them off. I put that there because mobs kept blowing up my hoppers, and I didn't appreciate that. These diamond spikes are enchanted with... Oh, apparently they're not. Oh, no, they are. Doesn't show it. They all have... What's it called? Education 5 to get the most out of the XP that drops. So that's the inner workings of the mob farm. Oh, and this system over here was something that I added later on. It powers these thermic relocators, and when they're turned on, this just turns into a Thaumcraft Vis waterfall. So there you go. The mobs will fall down in insane quantities, and the Vis just pours out here. And this is fantastic for crafting all these relocators. Like, it just doesn't stop. It just goes and goes and goes. Wonderful. And you can turn it off and on. Turn this off. It's really loud. All the drops get filtered through these barrels, And everything you see here is an infinite supply. Infinite ender pearls, gas tears, slime balls, blue slime balls, red hearts. I need to add more storage to that drawer. A lot more. Let's see. You get infinite diamonds, gold, emeralds. Pistons are really annoying to craft. Fire charges are great for Thaumcraft cauldrons. Let's see. Yes, dispensers, droppers, glowstone. I've even gotten a few skeleton eggs, surprisingly. Infinite golden apples. Yeah, basically just everything you see here. It's great. Then, here is the auto-crafting ring. All of these systems craft a different item. Here we have cobalt brass, arsenic, gallium, aluminum, silver, and then it just goes down the list. Wrought iron, obsidian, nickel, quartz, tin, copper, what is this? Glass, redstone, clay, calcite. These are all the useful ones for me. I personally didn't bother with leather, or I probably should have, to be fair. I didn't make one for leather, didn't make one for charcoal, didn't make one for I have a clipboard somewhere in my inventory. But weird. Oh well. I didn't bother with the ones that didn't have any useful byproducts for anything. But the way it works is under here, we have pipes that pull out of the super tanks, huge Polton pipes, pull out of the super tanks into just generic low voltage tanks, or ultra low, I guess. Because these will never fill up all the way. Never. Oh, they will once the system backs up, but it's not important that these fill up to be wait, oh my god, I can't talk today. Jeez. It doesn't matter if they fill up or not. But buckets here will pulled out of the barrel via Ender IO, imported into all of the tanks where once there's 1,000 millibuckets, it'll get pulled out by the, I just put it on a cyan channel, you can do whatever you want, and that is put into this barrel as a buffer of XP. Then it is extracted, and this has conduit upgrades. In fact, I think all of these do. Yes, they're expensive. Yeah, these are something you definitely want to make in large bulks. And they are distributed into tiny chests that insert on brown and extract on blue. Blue is the channel that refills the buckets. So it makes a closed loop of buckets that as soon as they're in here, you're able to auto-craft, and then they get turned into regular buckets, get sucked back out, or go back in, sucked out, go in, and it's an infinite cycle. Then you have two timers. This is probably not the best way to do it. I'm sure there's hundreds of ways to make a timer that would turn these on and then off. But these are set to 25, 20 doesn't really matter, 25 seconds. So it doesn't craft things that you don't want. Though it occasionally does happen on a few of them. But not very, it isn't often. Like this has been running for several hours, maybe even days at this point, and it's only miscrafted a handful of things. Anyway, it runs through this redstone conduit, and it powers all of these pistons, which are made infinitely from the Mobfarm, which moves the crafting table out of the way of these transfer nodes. These transfer nodes have a world interaction upgrade, so they see the inventories below the crafting table as a crafting grid. And if there's a valid recipe inside of it, it will craft it. So, if I grab some XP buckets, well, that just got used up. So as you saw, I put it in. It saw it was a valid recipe. So it used it, turned it into just a bucket, it got sucked out into the system. And that made, what did that make? I think that made clay dust. So the crafting table gets pulled under it any moment now. Turns into a bucket, and it crafted a clay dust. Of course, with the more supply of XP buckets you have, the faster it will fill and refill these chests, meaning the less time you have to put in between each craft, meaning the more of the item you can make, less byproduct, and it just kind of works out. I'm going to rip out this whole system. It's just doing nothing at the moment. But I made so much red alloy and so much rubber just completely free with this system, as well as bronze. And it was just a couple solar boilers, which I really need to rip out. It's taking up space at this point. Yeah, that's the mob farm. Simple as that. Took probably 28 to 25 hours to set it all up. But that's because I had no idea what I was doing and I kept redesigning everything from scratch. So I can imagine you can probably get this all made. Let me see. I can imagine you can set this whole thing up in 18 hours. Really just kind of a guess. But we should probably talk about the prerequisites to this system. You need an MV bender to make a dense obsidian plate, or the enchantment table to perform the ritual to get cursed earth in the first place. If you're on a single player world, you don't really need cursed earth. I play on a server, so it's necessary. Otherwise, nothing spawns in this, and the rates are abysmal at best. So, if you're on single player, I can't imagine it would be too necessary. As long as you build this low to the ground, I made an idiot mistake and made it up high. You don't want to do that. Build it low to the ground, light up the cave. It'll save you so much time, and it will have way better rate. The lower in the world you are, the more mobs that spawn. Higher up, the worse. Make it low. Light up the caves, make it low. Second prerequisite is an MV assembling machine to make the conduits. Because the GregTech item pipes, while there is a system that you can make that you can autocraft with the GregTech item pipes, you're very limited on what you can craft. This pattern right here, or better yet, this one is a good example, you wouldn't be able to make. And this makes cobalt brass. You would not be able to make this with GregTech pipes, because they can't import and extract on different filters with different items on the same face. They just can't do it. So what the budget system there is, where these tiny chests are, you have hoppers. Where the conduits are, you have, I just use Java better barrels. They have a really easy locking system. And under that, I had hoppers collecting the empty buckets from them. Oh yeah, and they're filtered to buckets. You have hoppers pulling out the buckets into a brass item pipe, going back into the main bucket line. But it is such a hassle to use GregTech pipe. Sorry with the voice crack. It is such a hassle to use the GregTech pipes that it really is a necessity to have item conduits. Yeah, it takes an MV assembler, polyethylene, pulsating iron, and electrum. These two aren't that bad. It's the assembler itself that's kind of a nightmare. Polyethylene is just kind of annoying. What other prerequisites? Oh yeah, of course, Thaumcraft. Make the Thaumic relocators. You need to have a decent setup to get all of the stuff required. You need a lot of thaumium. And you absolutely need to cheese your crucible. And that means, if I just hop down to my main base, cheesing the crucible over there. Just means that you block every available face for warp to escape. Not warp, but flux. Yeah, you block every face so that there's absolutely zero chance of flux escaping. So let's see. So this has got a ton of stuff in it. You can just chuck in stacks and stacks of items, and it will never be able to escape. Now, the moment you break any of the surrounding forge micro blocks, it will explode. Well, not really explode. It'll be a really slow pour out of a ton of flux. You don't want that because it can change the biome and do all kinds of nasty things. So it is much better to have this flux prevention system. And sure, it doesn't look the greatest, but I mean, it is unlimited crucible crafting, and it just takes the hassle right out of it. It's wonderful. But I feel like I've talked long enough in this, what was supposed to be a 5-minute tutorial / example. So I will leave you with that. I hope this helps for anyone who's hoping to find out how powerful mob farms are for their own use. And I will see to the comments that everyone's questions are answered.